we've been inviting the chairs of all of our committees, commissions, and boards, and with no exception, we'll be hearing a report from the Housing Committee from Chair Donald Lind. And the town's housing committee advises the council regarding the policies and programs aimed at reaching the town's goal of making or reaching a minimum of 10% of its housing stock affordable in perpetuity. And so I'd like to hear a report from that committee. And then the S and I word, the Snow and Ice presentation by Dan Santos, our Director of Public Works. He will make a presentation, and we do have an item on the agenda to appropriate or allocate money for the Snow and Ice overdraft order, which is done on an annual basis. But I'm sure Dan will be, putting out the continued call for plow truck contractors. The town of Barnstable is seeking experienced plow contractors with 6 and 10 wheel large trucks. And smaller trucks and sidewalk machines are also needed. So I want to put a little plug in for them and say if you want to reach them, they're at 508-790-69 or 6330.
And then, of course, the important tax classification workshop that's held on an annual basis. Talk to me a little bit about this workshop.
Yeah, this is done just to, I know when I first became a counselor, this is one of the first items I had to vote on. It's a bit overwhelming, all the information, but it's being presented by Director of Finance Mark Milne and Jeff Rudziak, the Director of Assessing. And per the Mass General Law, we have to the council has to vote to classify the town of Barnstable under for our tax levy. And traditionally, there's a lot of charts explaining the factor of 1, which we have voted for the classification of a factor of 1 for the last, since 2007 we've done that. And this is under a residential factor of 1. All property owners would pay taxes at the same rate per $1,000 of evaluation. And this presentation will be, we won't be voting on these items. They'll all be referred to a public hearing on the 19th. But there's 3 items with regards to the tax levy, and the tax factor is 1, and then the allocation of the tax levy for residential exemption. And for the last 10 years, fiscal years, the council has adopted the 20% residential exemption. And this is called a progressive tax. And I think the only other community that does do this on the Cape is Nantucket. And what happens with this residential exemption is all taxpayers up to the property assessed value less than $920,000 receive a savings, and that's shifted to the non-residents. So if you don't call your residence in Barnstable your home, and it's not on your taxes, then you wouldn't receive the exemption.
Absolutely, and very important. And again, they'll be making Mark Milne, our Director of Finance, and Jeff Rudziak, our Director of Assessment, will make that presentation. And then I understand that Council will be making their decisions on November 19th.
That's right, on these items. Yeah.
Exactly. And then a report from the Town Manager Search Committee will follow that presentation.
That's right. Eric Steinhilber and Sarah Cushing, the Chair and Vice Chair of that committee, will do a report of information they've received as the quotes they received from consultants. And to that, there is an item, one of the first items, that's also being referred to a public hearing on the 19th, an appropriation order of up to $34,999 for the purpose of hiring an outside consultant for town manager search. And based on the quotes that they've received and whatnot, I don't see the council using all of those funds. However, it was suggested that we make the appropriation to include travel expenses, advertising expenses that are outside of consultants' fees, just so that we wouldn't have to go back to the council for a supplemental appropriation on this item. So,
Sure.
but that's being referred to a public hearing on the 19th. The growth incentive zone was adopted in 2006, and this went through the Assembly of Delegates and the county commissioners. And the growth incentive zone has allowed the development or redevelopment to remain steady through the ups and downs of our economy and whatnot. And this it's the GIZ zone, as it's called, is kind of unique in that it's a pre-permitted, so it's an attractive area for developers and business owners to invest in the downtown Hyannis. So the request is to extend that for 18 months. There's some staff working with the Cape Cod Commission to produce some modifications to that, to the GIZ, and to improve the regulatory and permitting, and to examine the boundaries for amendment. So I think that group will be reaching out to the community to do some focus groups, get input from residents, business owners, developers, to get their, and so that we have more information before we reset that area.
Absolutely. And then we mentioned the snow and ice overdraft order. That is the next order of the day to approve that FY16 overdraft order.
Yeah, we have appropriated $600,000, which is not, when we have events like we did last year, is not very much money. Yeah. However, this year's budget, in the FY16 budget, we have allocated over $3 million, $3,201,000 to the snow and ice budget, and $600,000 of that is for this year coming up, but also $2 million of it was the prior year spending. So this overdraft authorization ensures that the operations aren't interrupted when the $600,000 is expended. It allows them, and this is the only item, the budget item that's allowed to exceed the appropriation. So.
Great. And then, of course, referrals to public hearings for the allocation of the tax levy, which we talked about
That's
a
right.
little bit earlier. And those, of course, will be for public hearing on November 19th. Mm-hmm. And followed by just appointments and reappointments.
That's right. Appointments to Cultural Council. Georgia Kreth from Marsh's Mills has put her name forward, and Scott Fitzgerald and Heidi Nelson have asked for reappointment on the Human Services Committee.
Indeed. And of course, Jessica, I must mention that as a result of Tuesday's election, there will be a new counselor joining the ranks, of course. So we are saying goodbye to our council vice president, Ann Kennedy, who has served for many years, term limited, and John Flores is going to take her seat. When does that take effect, Jessica?
Ann Kennedy's last meeting is tonight, and John Flores will be sworn in, as well as all the counselors that have just run, myself included, on the 16th of November, and that's when John Flores will become an official town councilor. So he'll be presiding on his first meeting on the 19th of November.
Great. Anything else, Jessica, about tonight's meeting that you feel people should be aware of?
No. As always, you can always comment by submitting online at our town council website.
Great.
You need to comment on an agenda item.
Wonderful. Well, we thank you so much, as always, for joining us here on the program, and we will see you on the dais. Have a great night.
Thank you, Sarah. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.